Okay, we are live. Thanks for tuning in on a Sunday night. I've got Gary here from FlipIn Sydney.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome, Gary. Thanks for joining us. Just
Thanks
a
for
heads
having
up for everyone. Just a heads up for everyone having a little bit of technical problems this afternoon with my PC and the laptop. So this is actually on the iPad at the moment. So I do apologise if it seems like we've got delays or a bit of lag. And just to add another little variable in there, there's actually a thunderstorm going on outside here as well.
Oh.
So yeah, it should be interesting.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for having me on. So
no, it's been good, man. I've been following you for the last little while, particularly with the $5 challenge. It's been really interesting just to almost see you come out of nowhere. So maybe you can give us a bit of an introduction of who you are and where you've come from and what you usually do.
Yeah, so I am based in Sydney, inner west, and I've been reselling for 12 months, just over 12 months now. And I am also a commercial photographer, so that's kind of loosely what I do. But the schedule is just so flexible, like from day to day, that I have a lot of time to be able to go out and, go sourcing and doing different things now that, well, just having come through COVID, like everything photography shut down. So there's kind of no work going on or anything. And so I've just really been focusing on eBay since that's kind of happened, because like all the sales for games, which is video games and DVDs, which has been an area that I've started to focus on, that just went bananas like through all the COVID, so it was crazy. But yeah, so I've been doing it for 12 months and I'm really, kind of happy with how I'm going and just have, plans to just continue to build and just to keep growing the business and getting bigger and definitely learning a lot from some of the other guys like Two Aussie Thrifters. It's just really good.
I was going to ask you how you found out about reselling and how you sort of got into it.
Yeah, so I was going through a really quiet spell with photography and like everything, like work just kind of dropped off. And so I was just kind of looking around at like different things of, what I could do. Because I've for the longest time, for years, I've just had this idea of I want to build multiple streams of income. And it's like, if photography and you've got all your eggs in that basket of photography and then something happens, which is kind of what just happened with COVID, it's like, what else do you have that you can kind of, rely on? And so that was the thought process behind it. So I was just doing research and I looked into a whole bunch of different things. Like I was looking into like investing in commercial real estate and looking into, just different ways of generating income, but just looking at the, reselling is such a low barrier to entry. It's like, you don't need thousands of dollars, to be able to start. You can just start with what you've got around the house. And that was something that was appealing to me, as well as, looking, definitely there was, I came across Two Aussie Thrifters, I think Rally Roots, and I think, Gary V was another one of him going out to garage sales and everything and, negotiating and stuff. And so, yeah, that was, I guess, what started me and kicked me into it. So, yeah.
Did you sort of start around the house, or did you go out to garage sales and start there?
I'm trying to think what I did. Yeah, I think I definitely did sell stuff that was around the house first off, like just books. Actually, I just sold a book this week, and it's a jiu-jitsu book that I had, and it's just been sitting on my bookshelf for years, has not been touched, has not been read, and I just researched it just to see what it was worth, and it was on Amazon. There was none listed on eBay, but I looked into Amazon and what was listed, and it was listed for like almost $300 on Amazon for a copy. And I was like, oh, okay. So I put it on eBay, and then it ended up just selling this week for $150. So someone in America paid $150 for this book, and then they paid like $65 shipping to get it shipped over to the US. So that's like something that was just sitting there gathering dust, you know. So yeah, it's crazy. But I think everybody
I have a bit of trouble sometimes myself getting my head around just how much people are willing to spend on things. Like, you sort of put it in your own little box and go, oh man, I can't put that up for $300 because I'd never pay that. But someone else sitting on the other side of the world is looking at that one thing, and they do all day, every day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've probably been thinking about that idea a little bit, as far as like in the area of like video games and things like that, because I think sometimes, I mean, I would consider myself a game enthusiast, but I wouldn't really consider myself a gamer as such, because nowadays I don't have the time to, like, you know, but growing up I was into games and everything like that. So I feel like I'm probably coming at video games from a slightly different angle than coming from, you know, someone who's a really avid gamer. And I feel like that can kind of be helpful because you have a slightly different mindset. And so it's kind of like, you know, well, you know, they're not going to pay, you know, more this much for a certain game or something. Where coming at it from a different angle, it's like you have a different mindset about it maybe sometimes, which can be advantageous, and then it can be, you know, not advantageous. So yeah, some.
I've found a couple of like older big box games for the Amiga, and I recently just sold a 3.5-inch floppy, the Catacombs 3D, which I haven't actually put up on social media yet.
Wow.
That little gem was $2 in the Rags to Riches OpShop that Rob frequents here in Perth. And $120 it sold for full price.
Wow.
Plus
that's crazy
as well.
Yeah.
I think
that's the
stuff I look for.
I think the best game sale I've had so far was 115 for a Lord of the Rings game, which was, and I got 3 of those games actually. So 3 different trips, and I picked up 3 different Lord of the Rings games, and they all sold. And so all up, it was almost $300 for those 3 games. I probably spent about $10. Yeah.
So when I know that you've talked about disc resurfacing before, how did you sort of get into that, and when did you make the jump into going that way?
Well, I guess this is coming into COVID, I'd really started buying, you know, and getting it was just over time, I guess. I was like getting more and more like discs and needing them to be resurfaced, like just having discs that are scratched. And so it was I guess it was just, eventually I was going to get a disc resurfacer because I needed one to, and, you know, so I'd been talking to Ken Skeets about it and asking him questions and everything, and he was really good. And then so he put me in touch with the guy who distributes the disc resurfacing machines, and so I kind of had a chat with him, and then after that I bought the machine. But like, you know, it's like if you have if you're selling lots of DVDs, Blu-rays and video games, I mean, I've definitely made my money back on the outlay for the machine, like just from, you know, anything that's just a little bit scratched. It's like you can just resurface it, and it's like new discs. So it's like you're selling new disc games, so you can get more money for, you know, for the games that you're selling and stuff. So, and it's
how long do you reckon it took to pay it back?
How long? Yeah, well, like, I mean, with that Lord of the Rings game that I sold for $100, that was a little bit scratched, and so it's kind of like just to resurface that disc and pay that, you know, and to sell that game, you know, it's like, and there's a couple of, you know, games I've sold for like over $100 and it was, you know, they're a little bit scratched, but then having the disc resurfacer just allowed me to sell those games as like new. So yeah, that happened. It was a Silent Hill game, I think, which is a PS2 game.
Good
And
sellers,
I bought it for $30, and then I put an auction on it because I know it's a popular title, and I thought I'd probably try and I'd hopefully get over $100 in it. Sold for 110
nice.
through an auction. So yeah,
That's good. I don't want to. I'll try the chat here.
Yeah.
Just to see how we go. It's a little bit different on the iPad.
Yeah.
So we got Rack Raiders, Toby, My Empty Hanger Melbourne, Zach,
I know.
Oz Riley, Drew's Reselling.
I know Rack Raiders was asking on the White Belt of Reselling about doing some research for video games. So I don't know. I think you just got to put the time in, and I mean, I like used to just go through eBay solds and just look at video games and look what's sold and look for how much they've sold for, and go for the most expensive games and just go through and just try and familiarize yourself with the games that are sold, the more expensive games and how much they sell for and everything. So yeah.
Yep. You could say that the same sort of thing for any category you want
to
get.
Yeah, but that's definitely a good way to do it, of like just to familiarize yourself with what's selling, and how much it's selling for, so you get a bit of an idea. So yeah,
for sure.
I've actually got a few games here that I could show you. I just picked up. So yeah. All right, got this one, Rock Band 3. Picked this up for $1. This is selling for $69.99. There's sold comps for $69.99 on that. So it's a relatively rare-ish game, I guess, on Xbox 360. So that was a good pickup for $1. That was awesome. So Central Coast. What else? Dungeons and Dragons Heroes on Xbox Original. I think that sells for about $45. I paid up for that. I paid $9 for that, but it sells for $45. Do you want to do one more?
Do one more, yeah.
Punisher Xbox Original. So I think that goes for about $35, and I got that for $9 again. So paid up a little bit. But
I think there's definitely like themes you could look out for. If you obviously like Sonic and Mario and stuff like that always sell well, but then your little obscure things like Conkers and stuff like that, if you know the name of those games, basically when you see them, they're going to be money.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like horror games in general like go for a decent amount, but obviously you got to always do the research and find out. But there's some Resident Evil titles that are worth a lot of money, and there's Resident Evil titles that aren't worth anything. So it's like it's always, it's just doing the research to find out which ones are profitable and whatnot. So, but I guess now, whenever I go out now, I guess there's like with any category, you see a lot of the same stuff at all the places you go to, and you kind of see that stuff, but then you come across something that you've never seen before, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. So with the Rock Band 3, I just picked it up. I didn't even look it up because I was like, haven't seen that, just grab it, and so I think once you start to familiarize yourself with, and stuff that you haven't seen before, then that's, you start looking things up and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. I think with the resurfacer to make it a little bit easier too. So if you find a game for $1, it's $1. Just pick it up and look at it later.
Yeah. Well, I mean, definitely. Like now, I don't. I mean, normally I do check the discs, and I'll just check them just to make, because there's like, out of all the games that I've ever bought, I think there's like maybe one or two games where the scratches are really deep scratches, and you're just not going to be able to buff those out, kind of thing. But that's like one or two discs out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of discs, so it's pretty good odds. But yeah, it's always, I mean, definitely check.
Yeah, I don't sell a lot of DVDs as such. I try and stay away from those.
Yeah.
Games though, like I have put games back before just because I've picked them up and gone, yeah, it's probably a little bit too scratch for what I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, if you can't resurface them, then there is a small risk that if it's a little bit scratched, that it's like if it doesn't work, or they're going to want a refund and all that. So. Hello, hi everyone.
How are you going with the challenge?
Yeah, doing all right. Like, man, like people are posting some big sales now, but I kind of felt like that was going to happen. I felt like the first month, it was like it was just ticking over kind of thing, and but now I just feel like it's starting to get serious now. Like everyone's like really starting to kind of like post some big sales. So it's starting to get interesting now. So yeah, it's you got to bring your A game now, and I think, it's going to be exciting to see how it progresses over the next kind of couple of months for sure. And yeah, I'm just trying to kind of stay in contact with people. What's that?
Yeah. Is there anything specific that what's your sort of strategy that you're sticking with at the moment? Just games?
Well, it has been, up to this point, it's been, so I've probably got heaps of games, and I'm only kind of listing for the challenge, like the higher ticket kind of games, or the games where you're getting a bigger return on your investment. But going forward, I think I really want to try and get some bigger ticket items, maybe spend a bit more. So, I mean, I got a couple of things on the challenge, and it'd be amazing if and when they sell. So I got it's like a DVD VHS combo burner. So it records VHS and it burns DVDs. And I picked that up for $10, and it's listed for $350. So if and when that sells, that'll be a solid sale for the $5 challenge. So that'll be good. I'm hoping that'll sell soon. So we'll see with that. And I also picked up a super 8mm cinema projector, and I got it for like $5 in a bulk lot kind of thing. And that's listed for a couple of hundred as well. So it's like, so if I sold those two items, that would really bump me up for the $5 challenge. So we'll kind of, Eco Pro 2 machine is Eco Pro 2. And I think the website is just ecopro2.com.au. Because there's a JFJ Easy Pro, I think, is another resurfacing machine, but it doesn't do Blu-rays. But the Eco Pro 2 does all the different discs. Yeah.
Okay. And what does that cost? Just out of curiosity.
So I actually got a refurbished one, and it cost me $9.79, and then you have to pay for the chemicals like it uses to kind of clean it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
good for people to know.
Yeah, I mean, it is a decent investment, but I think if you're selling lots of games and DVDs, Blu-rays, then you'll get to the point where you kind of need one. It won't be, it'll just get to a point where it's like, I just have to get one because, I just had so many discs that I was like, I can't sell this disc because it needs to be resurfaced, So it's like it just gets to that point where it's like it becomes the option that you need to kind of take. So, yeah.
So you've been doing this for 12 months. What are you sort of seeing, happening in the next sort of 12 months, 2 years, 5 years? Are you going to flip your business and focus more on reselling as opposed to photography, or how do you?
I feel like that. I feel like that's the way I'm moving, and so we'll see. Because I've been shooting photography wise. I've been shooting for myself for 6 years, and I haven't really hasn't really got any, hasn't expanded, any more like for the last kind of few years kind of thing. So I feel like I'm going to double down and really focus more on the reselling because I really enjoy it, but I can really see, I can see the business growing and expanding over the next few years. And, like the two Aussie thrifters, that's their the blueprint for what I want to do is kind of what they're doing. And I feel, it's like they're showing you what's possible for me. And so it's like, I'm just super focused on just building the business and growing and expanding. And, and if that means taking on someone to help me do photos and to help me do listing and things like that, then that would be something I'll definitely be looking at doing in the next 6 months or something. Because, I feel like when you're a sole trader and you're doing everything yourself, there's a limitation to how much you can actually accomplish in a day, and it's like, so Brad and Jazz, it's like just having two people working in the business, it's like it just multiplies the amount that you can kind of achieve. And so I feel like for my business, like the biggest bottleneck in the business is me kind of thing. It's like me. And it was the same with photography. It was like, it was getting to the point where it's like, I can't do all of this editing. And so I was starting to outsource, retouching of images, just because it's like, there's not enough hours in the day if you're trying to do everything yourself, so but I think it's just having that awareness as well, just going, I don't have to do everything. I can outsource some things and, I can kind of get someone else doing certain areas, and that's going to free me up to be able to do, and to build and to grow. And yeah. So I think I
more of what you want to do as well. I hate taking photos of clothes in particular, so I don't do that anymore.
Yeah. I actually don't mind it. I don't know, I must be strange, but I actually didn't mind doing all the measurements and everything. And it's like, I was fine with that. And, I don't mind packing and shipping things. It's like, I don't know, I feel like I'm like wrapping Christmas presents or something. And I don't have a problem with that. So it's fine, but it's like, yeah, definitely. I think looking to the future and focusing on where I want to be, I want to just continue to grow. And so I guess that might mean looking into purchasing and getting hold of some wholesale lots and just doing bigger purchases rather than, because that's another limitation I feel like as well, is like if you're just going to thrift stores and op shops and just going to garage sales, then there is a limitation really on the size of the deals that you can kind of get or the size of deals that you're going to come across. And so, building relationships with wholesalers and trying to get into liquidated stock or, just larger scale deals, that would definitely be something that I'm keen to, look into and research and start to do in the next 6 to 12 months. So yeah,
I think that's sort of where I want to head as well, because I'm very time poor with the new bubba.
Yeah,
I recently purchased a lease on a storage unit, which is only 5 minutes from my house.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, I think you did mention
stuff. Yeah. I haven't really mentioned it much on socials or anything, but getting the stuff out of this room that I'm in now obviously frees it up for the family. But I've found that I can take the whole business to there, and I don't have any issues when I come home. I can sort of,
it's good to have that separation, like for myself as well. Because like when I started, I kind of had everything in my bedroom, and it kind of just got to the point where I was like, because I've got a massive bedroom. It's like, twice as big as most people's bedrooms. Probably it's huge. So I had space and had shelves and stuff, but it's like, yeah. And it's so funny because like this room that I'm in now at the studio has just been sitting here vacant, not being used for anything for so long. And so now it's like it's turned into the eBay room, which is awesome.
Yeah,
So
that's cool.
yeah, so having, being able to kind of utilize the space and use it, and to get that separation is really good, because it's like, yeah, you can be at work and you can switch off from work when you go home and stuff. So yeah.
So just going back to what we were saying before, so next to the storage units, there's 3 local op shops that I can go to within a couple minute drive, which is
That's
awesome.
Yeah.
But the stock turnover is not there to, I guess, maintain that, long term. I need those bigger deals like we're talking about as well.
Yeah.
To sort of grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think your reselling superpower is? What is your, I guess, specialty, or what do you best at?
I really feel like I have a good eye, and I don't know if there's any kind of correlation between photography and that, of like just being able to kind of look at something and going, yeah, I feel like that's going to sell for a decent amount of money. And so and because I don't know, because it's funny, because I kind of talk to my family and tell them all about the latest flips that you've done, or the latest thing you picked up, and all that, and they were like, oh, you got a really good eye for it, I couldn't do that. And it's like, I feel anyone can do it, but I think you definitely, there's a sensibility, or I don't know what it is, but it's like it's like a muscle, and it's like the more you use it, the more you the more it gets better, so the more you go out, and the more you're kind of using that muscle of like looking at things and weighing things up, and using that part of your brain, I think it sharpens it, so you get better at it. Anything, it's like anything that you do, you get better at it if you keep doing it for long enough. So yeah.
Absolutely. What do we got here? So what are you sort of working on? What do you think your biggest weaknesses are at the moment as far as growing?
Biggest weaknesses as far as growing? Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I did mention, so I'm very aware that I'm the biggest bottleneck in the business, really. So yeah, really, I feel like it is going to get to the point reasonably soon where I need to really think about getting someone on to help me do photos, and get someone to probably help me with the listing, and that's going to free me up, to be able to do other things, because it's like, yeah, it's kind of getting to the point where it's like I don't have enough hours in the day to do everything. And I'm sure probably like a lot of other people, like accounting isn't the bit about the business that I enjoy the most. And so it's like, yeah, so I think I definitely need to have a better grip on everything, on the numbers that I'm kind of doing in the business. And it was actually really helpful, Brad and Jazz's, recent stream about tax. I took away like a few nuggets from that, of like, okay, this is what I need to do. This is how I'm going to kind of keep a track of everything. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying, well, for the last year and a bit, I've been putting up monthly summaries, trying to track numbers, and I use Google Sheets and forms, and I've got dashboards to track all the analytics and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm actually finding over the last 3 months, I'm getting busier and busier, and some of that aspect of the business is taking up more and more time.
Yeah.
It's a little bit for me like a diet, where that first little bit you look at it really closely and go, okay, these are the macro numbers I need for this meal, and then once you've done it for a month, you know what you're looking at, and you're making money. So myself, I'm kind of thinking I'm going to ease off on like that analytics side of things, and just focus on actually getting stuff listed. That's where the money is. Yeah. What about productivity or time hacks? I'm always interested in that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like, and I use my phone for everything. I don't generally do much on my kind of laptop as far as eBay things. So I'm listing on my phone. I'm taking photos on my phone. It's all done on my phone. And so I actually use the Adobe Photoshop app on my phone with the photos. And that's actually really good for, I can crop all the photos. And it's like, when you take a photo and it's kind of warped. So if I'm taking a picture of a game and I want it to be square, but I've taken a photo at a funny angle and all that, it's out of, at a weird angle. There's a tool on the Adobe Photoshop app where you can just push the button and it straightens that and makes it so it's like a square. So that's a really good kind of time saver. And I use that on, especially on all the games. I use it just so you get a nice even square around the game and then just crop around that and everything. So Adobe Photoshop app, if I don't know what other apps people are using to edit their photos, but the Adobe Photoshop app is free. You can actually use it to clone stamp like little areas. So if you've got a background and it's got like heaps of little dots on it, you can actually use your finger and go around and clean all those little dust dots up on a background and everything. And you can do it on your phone. Obviously you could do a better job on the computer screen on your laptop or whatever. But I think coming from being a photographer and having spent years of my life in front of a laptop in Photoshop, like editing photos, of like with the reselling, it's like just to kind of get away from being in front of a laptop and spending years of my life in front of a screen, like big screen. I'm now on a little screen kind of thing. So the Photoshop one is definitely, worth a download for sure. Super helpful.
My wife's got that and loves it. She uses it a lot.
It's really good also for taking photos, and like if you're getting like, depending on what lights you have when you're taking the photos, you might get a weird color shift or something. It might go a bit green or something like that. You can adjust the color temperature of the photo as well. So it's like you can bring it back so it looks kind of normal. If it's just looking a bit like, oh, it's looking green, I don't want it to look green. I want it to look like normal, so you can do that with sliders. It's all sliders on the Photoshop app. So that's kind of helpful as well. So, because I was actually like, for the longest time, I was just using daylight because I got really nice daylight I had in my bedroom. I was like, so I'd be taking photos. And so I've only just recently got lights, which is funny. I mean, I had like the professional lighting, which is flash and everything. And I started trying to use that for photographing clothes. And it was just too much effort to have to set that all up and everything every time I wanted to do it. It was just way too much effort. So I just went full lo-fi and I was just using my phone and just using daylight, and it was going good. But now I've got a couple of lights. I've got this light here, which is a ring light. So I've got 2 ring lights and use those to photograph all of the stuff for eBay now. So yeah.
So I've now got the opposite problem with that. Is I used to use a lot of daylight, and I've got a Bunnings Ryobi like bar light that you can like bend. And I was using that, and now that I'm in the storage unit, there's no power unless you go downstairs and key.
Right.
So during the day, if you're there, that's cool. You can plug in some lights, but otherwise, I'm just using this Ryobi little bar light at the moment.
Yeah.
So I need some battery powered lights.
Yeah, like because I know we were talking a little bit, and I was talking about daily refinement. His channel, because he's working out of the same. He's working out of a similar to you, and you can just get like a kind of a power pack kind of thing, or like that you can just run lights and you can run everything off if you don't have power in there. So yeah, there's like a pack that you can get. I know it's more for photography. There's one that will power lights. Like if you were on location and you're in the middle of a park and there's no power around, it will power your lights and your laptop and everything for the whole day while you're photographing and things like that. But, you can use it.
That's
Could
probably
use
what
it.
I need.
Yeah, that'd be the way to just have power. So, but I dig his channel, Daily Refinement. Like puts out so much info, but it's really helping me because it's making me think differently about my business and making me think in a different way about making me consider areas and consider things that I wasn't thinking about. And just a bit of forethought and thinking about where you want to be and how you're going to get there, and kind of like the steps that it's going to take you to get to where you want to be. So yeah, I would highly rate his channel as the most helpful for me and the most relevant information, that you can implement straight away. So
He's got a ton of videos as well. You can go back and find whatever you need, really.
Yeah.
I've jumped on a couple of those webinar chats before when he's been doing them. He's a nice dude.
Yeah, I've spoken to him a little bit because he has a mastermind that he does every day with people in the States. And I just contacted him and I said, "Oh, how many people would you need to do an Australian one, like once a week?" And he was like, "I'd do it if we could get 10 people, 8 to 10 people they're interested in doing a mastermind one morning a week with me." And he's going, "We just work out a time that's suitable for everyone and do it." And I was like, so it'd be good to, if there was interest there of other people that wanted to kind of jump on it. I've spoken to a couple of people and, I've had like one person that said they were really, really keen to do it. So, if we could get a few more people interested, it'd be good, because it's like, I can see so much value in it of like, just being just once a week, just going, this is what I've been working on, or this is what I want to be accountable next week when we speak. I want to have done this from this week. And so we'll see.
You might even be able to get that done on Saturday morning due to the time difference as well.
Yeah. He was saying he was thinking Friday afternoon American time, and it's Saturday morning Australian time. So,
well, add me to that list if it's on a Saturday morning. I can probably make it.
Yeah, like he's super cool. I've been talking to him about different things and stuff. So we've been talking about rock climbing. So because that's the thing that I'm kind of into outside of reselling. I guess the thing that I do to try and stay a little bit fit now that the climbing gyms have opened up again, because like obviously they were closed, but they've opened up, and so I'm back in the gym like a few nights a week and climbing up the walls and stuff. So yeah,
no, it's good.
It's fun.
Before too. What does your day look like at the moment? Well, obviously it's a bit sporadic. Are you going out in the morning?
Like I have a pretty solid daily routine. So because I wanted to ask you about your daily routine, but like mine is generally it's get up pretty early, like probably, and for the longest time lately, it's like I haven't had to set an alarm. I just wake up. So I just wake up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then I'm out the door. I get up and then I just go for a walk around the local park. So I walk down and around, and that takes me about 45 minutes. And so I don't take my phone generally. So that's the first part of the day, just clearing the head, I guess, or just getting set for the day before I kind of start looking at the screen and everything. And so that's it, 45 minutes, then come back, probably have a shower, and then head to the studio, have breakfast at the studio, and then get stuck into whatever it is. So packing orders if there's orders to pack, and then I've actually been really enjoying not checking emails, because I just get so much junk emails. It's just like 95% of it I'll just delete it. It's just kind of like I'm just so over it. But there is the occasional email which is reasonably important that you need to respond to or something. So, but for the longest time that's been how I start the day. So it's good to have some sort of a routine to start the day and kick it in, because I remember So I've been shooting for myself for 6 years now, but kind of prior to that, I was working for other photographers in an assistant role, and you just freelance and you just, every day is different. You're working for different people. And when I was doing that, the schedule was just all over the place, because it's like you have to get up at 3 o'clock and, you know, drive a couple of hours to get somewhere for a sunrise shoot, and then, you know, be shooting till really late at night. And so it was just all over the place, you know, so it was just changing so much. So it's kind of been really good to have like that solid, you know, routine where you're kind of doing the same thing at the same time, and setting yourself up for the day.
So after you've been in the studio and packed your orders, are you heading out to the op shops or just getting listing done?
Yeah, at the moment I've just got tons of stuff to list, so I'm just trying to kind of Underbelly narrator, eh? Okay, cool. I've actually got a couple of copies of Underbelly at the moment. So
Voice actor.
Yeah. That's funny. Sure. If they wanted to pay me money to just say stuff, I'd do it.
Do you have like a set finish time? You sort of call it a day, or you just keep going?
Well, because I've kind of used the climbing as a reward as well. So it's like I kind of get through all the stuff I need to get through, and then that's the reward. And, you know, but I love it so much. So it's like there's a bit of motivation to really kind of get everything done that you need to do, and then you can just go to the climbing gym. So the climbing gym's open till 10 p.m. So generally I'll go from like 8 p.m. till 10 p.m. a couple of times a week. I'll try and get there, and it's also it's a good headspace as well. It's just a good, you know, you're not thinking about anything else when you're concentrating on climbing something. You know, it's like there's no room be thinking about shipping orders or anything like that. So yeah,
I like that you've got a sort of downtime at both the start of the day and the end. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
Clear your head. Don't go to bed sleeping about, you know, thinking about orders or messages.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Well, like, I don't know. I as far as photography, I mean, just with photography, it can become so all encompassing, and so, you know, you're so focused on that it's like you're not thinking about anything else. I don't know how, you know, healthy that is. Like, and so it's good to have some time away from that day job or whatever it is that you do, and just have time where you're not thinking about it. I think it's really, as well as like the kind of exercise side of it as well. I really love it, because it's like you really got to think about what you're doing and where you're placing your hands and your feet and everything, and, you know, and it takes some concentration, and
you can't really be anywhere else when you're halfway up a wall.
No, precisely. Because I've gone back to climbing. Like, I was doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu for a few years, and so I've had a few injuries, and so I'm taking some time off from the jiu-jitsu. But that was the same kind of thing. It's like you have no time to think about anything else when you've got like a gorilla trying to rip your arm off. You know, it's like you're in the moment, you know, and you're fighting for your life kind of thing, you know, when you're going up against purple belts or something or whatever. So, but yeah, I see a lot of similarity between the rock climbing and the jiu-jitsu. It's like you really got to think about what you're doing. You really got to think about your body and where you're placing your body and what you're doing, and it's really mental. And that's probably the thing I really enjoy about it, as well as the physical side of it.
I've got a background in some Taekwondo as well, and I have the same thing with all the patterns. You know, I can do all 10 of them, you know, one after the other, and there's no time to think about anything else other than where the next movement is. And
I started in karate when I was like pretty young. I did karate for years, and then I did Wing Chun for a few years. Yeah, and then broken rib. Yeah. Actually, I had knee surgery. I tore my MCL doing jiu-jitsu, so I was out for 12 months. Got back. Yeah.
I've been pretty lucky. I've only had cracked ribs and broken knuckles, but
Yeah.
that's about it for that.
You still train at all, or?
I was actually a branch instructor for a little while, but it just sort of got a little bit too much with, baby coming along and work and everything else. So I've sort of just kept it, do my own training as such.
Yeah.
Yeah, still good
I
for
feel
me.
I feel like you got to do something. You've got to have something outside of reselling. You got to, I think it's healthy to have some sort of hobby or passion outside of whatever it is you're doing. So yeah.
Rack Raiders has torn some rib cartilage from coughing.
That's awesome.
Hopefully not corona related.
Yeah.
If anyone in the chat's got any questions that they want to fire at us while we're still here. What about you, Gary? Any questions for me?
Well, yeah, I did want to ask you about your routine, your daily routine, because I'm actually really interested in how my daily routine differs from other people and what works for other people, because I feel like everybody has probably different things that work for them, and and they different people, like some people are night owls, and so they're up till all hours, and then other people are early birds where they kind of get up early. And I feel like I was a night owl for the longest time, and then I don't know, I just started going to bed early. And then that I can get up whatever time I want. It's like as long as you go to bed early enough, it's like you can get up early. So yeah, that was a bit of a revelation for me.
It's true. I think my routine's changed a little bit over the last couple of years with baby coming along. Both myself and my wife are probably night owls mainly, but the day job forces me to get up in the morning early. I have spent a couple of years working away where I'd get up at 4 a.m. as well, so I've been on both ends of that scale. At the moment, I'll get up around 6. The only thing that I do in the morning that relates to reselling is dropping things off to the local post office box on the way to work, and then I'll go to work. And now with the storage unit, I'll call past there on the way home. It's actually worked out quite well because it's on the way home itself, so it's not really any additional time out of the day. And now I've started like actually listing stuff from there, so taking photos and listing stuff in the storage unit. And depending if I've got stuff to pack, we'll pack it up. I'll then put it into the ute and I'll bring it home. I've got 1 day shipping turned on at the moment, and I have for quite a while. And I'll go home, and then the only thing I'll do when I get home is print the labels so they're ready to go for the next day, and then I'm pretty much done.
So how much space do you have at the storage unit? That's just how much?
I've got a 3 by 3 by 3.
3 by 3 by 3. Okay. And how full is it? Like, how much room have you got to swing a cat in there, or is it fairly full?
There's no racks or anything in there yet, and I'm planning to build some. But I've probably got it about half full at the moment, so I've got enough room in there for a little makeshift desk and some lighting, like I was talking about. And I find just having that dedicated packing space as well, I can make as much noise as I want. Whereas trying to do it here, with baby maybe sleeping or wife trying to watch TV, it was kind of interfering. So I actually think moving there has improved my efficiencies as far as getting things packed goes. So I just go there, smash out the packing, and then try and get. Well, I've been trying to go for 6 to 10 listings every day lately. For a while, I was sitting just over 1,200 listing, and then I've dropped all the way back to 1,000 just with selling more stuff from COVID and just not getting as much things listed.
Well, I'm sitting at about 1,100 now, And so during COVID, I was up to 1,000, and then it dropped back to like 900, and it's just been like trying to get it back up. I was like, because like if you're making like 10 sales a day or something, some days it's like, doing crazy. Like COVID, the biggest day I had was like 53. Oh no, the weekend. It was a weekend. Sorry, that was the long weekend. 53 going out. Yeah. So that was crazy.
We've got a question there from Look Mum. Any tips for the coming new financial year?
Yeah.
I actually do not use QuickBooks. I'm using Google Sheets.
Yeah.
Like I said before, so I use Google Forms and Google Sheets with tie-in.
Yeah.
And the main reason I do that is to track. So I think I heard Brad saying maybe in a stream for the tax one that he's sort of less involved in tracking the inventory, and I'm much the same. So I only want to track what I've actually spent on something. So if I go out and buy 10 things, I want to know that I bought 10 things. I'll take a picture of what I bought and a picture of the receipts, hit submit on the form, and then that's saved there. So I don't have to go and file a bit of paper somewhere. It's there when I go to it at the end of the year. So QuickBooks, Xero, any of those accounting software packages, you could still, they're all fine if that's what you want to use them for.
Yeah. Well, man, I've recently started using QuickBooks, and because prior to that I was using Wave. So I don't know if you've heard of Wave. That's like a free piece of accounting software, and so I was using that for invoicing and everything to do with photography. But then you can't import your bank information now if you're outside the US. It's like, so that just kicked in, and so I started looking around at different pieces of accounting software, and I guess landed on QuickBooks. So I kind of started using the QuickBooks, but it's weird because they have there's two standalones, I guess, and so I thought you could use both of them, but it's like you kind of have to use one or the other, because one of them was like it tracks your mileage, like in the app itself. It tracks the mileage, so you know how far you're driving and everything like that. And then it also has a PayPal, so you can link up PayPal, so you have all the information coming in from PayPal. So it's all in there, so all of that data that you're getting from PayPal. Obviously, with managed payments, that's kind of going to change, so you have to.
Less important, I suppose.
Yeah. But I've just recently started using it.
I still think it'll be fine. Like all those accounting packages are great at what they do. It's just I don't know. They all have their pros and cons, I suppose.
Yeah. So I don't know. Well, I don't know if there's one thing that's going to do everything potentially that you need. It's like you just got to work out what works for you and how you're going to track everything that you need to track and stuff. So. Yeah.
Drew's asking about tracking mileage in the car. So there are apps to do that as well.
There's plenty of apps that you can use that will just track the miles that you travel in your car. So I would have thought it'd be awesome, like if you could do it in Google Maps, that would be amazing. Or I don't know if you can do it. There's another one. I don't know if you can track. It would actually track your mileage, but that would be super handy if you could do it that way. But yeah, there's other apps that you can use to track your mileage. So yeah.
It's something I'll be trying to do a little better this coming year. Like I have actually got sections in my forms for start location and end location to track mileage, but I've been a little bit lazy with that.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
What about? Go on.
Well, the thing with the Wave app that I was using for the accounting was as soon as you got a receipt, you just take a photo of the receipt and it would upload that information. It would grab all the information on the receipt and put that into the app for you. And then you just have to go through, and you kind of like just make sure that it's all the information was correct in there. So it's pretty handy. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe some tie-ins with Zapier or something like that might be worth looking at as well.
Is that for QuickBooks you're talking about?
Oh, just anything like that. Like even for my own sales records, you can pull that from eBay, I believe, with Zapier, but only the sales records themselves.
Right. Yeah.
At the moment, end of the month, I'll download the report for the whole month.
Yeah.
And really, that's all I need because it's got your fees and totals in there.
So is that a CSV? That's a CSV file?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're downloading that, you can use a macro to do it every month if you wanted to, because it's always the same. And I use the SKU for the cost of the items.
Yeah.
So at the end of the year, when I go to do cost of goods on hand, what I do is just download that, filter the form, then text the columns, and then it's out, and the sum pretty straightforward.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that you can import CSVs into QuickBooks. So you could grab that information and it just goes straight into QuickBooks for you and stuff. Because it's more about, for me, is it's just being able to give all the information to my accountant kind of thing, and being able to reconcile everything and all that. So, yeah. So it's like you don't physically have to go and take anything to them. It's like they just have access to the information that they need so that they can reconcile everything. So
hopefully you can hear me all right. It's starting to really piss down here.
Yeah, I can hear it a little bit. So what's your OpShop routine go to? Okay. Where do you hit? Where do I go first? I'll give you one guess where I go first, Matt. Games. I go to the games pretty much. Yeah. But actually what Brad was saying before, like, because they were talking about a little bit on Whiteboard, it really does, like it comes down to the layout of the store as well, of where things are. But generally, like I'll head for the games first up and just go through and see if there's anything good in there, and then, you know, maybe look through the DVDs and the CDs depending on how much attention I have, because like sometimes I just don't have the patience to go through things, you know. And it's the same with clothing these days. Like I used to kind of really be diligent and go through all the clothes, and now I just kind of like just brush. Now there's nothing there. Like just don't have the patience for it sometimes. So. But yeah,
I think it depends on the shop a lot.
Yeah,
like some shops, like the ones near me, like the Sellers in particular, is quite expensive for clothing.
Yeah.
So in that shop, I'll leave that till last because, you know, if I can be bothered looking through it, I will. But most of the time, I don't pick up clothes from the shop, so I don't look there.
It's pretty funny though, because I like, you know, when you go to a store that you've never been to before, and it's like you can look at one thing and just gauge off that one, on the price of that one thing. Like it might be in the window or something. You know what kind of a shop it's going to be. You're kind of like, yeah, okay, all right. So their prices are going to be like crazy on you know, the clothing, like just from looking at one thing that's in the window or something. So yeah, it's funny how you can do that.
Yeah. I see those shops as a bit of a challenge though, you know, like, you know, they're overpriced and you're not going to find anything. So I'm making my mission to try and find at least one thing.
There's always going to be categories. There's always going to be things that are undervalued, or like, you know, they don't, like the clothing might be super expensive, but it's like, you know, there's always stuff to be found that you can flip, you know, that's underpriced. So always. So yeah, it's just, I know, maybe you got to think a little bit laterally and get out of, you know, because if you go into the shop and you're just focused on the clothes, but then all the clothing prices are just super expensive, you know, it's like, well, you can turn around and leave, or, you know, have a look at some of the other things that are in there, and, you know, might mean you got to pull your phone out and do a little bit of research or something. But yeah.
Yes.
But there's always, doesn't matter what shop it is, there's always, you know, undervalued items in there, you know, so.
Just
And that's
just
where,
answering Matt's question for me, I probably go to the cabinets first usually.
yeah,
And just have a quick glance through there, because sometimes they've done the work for you and they've actually found something half decent that they've put in the cabinet, and maybe they haven't quite priced it correctly. Like
uh,
perhaps an example from the challenge would be a Kindle that they had in there for $20. I'm like, okay, if that works, then that's easy money. And yeah, sure enough, it did.
yeah, that's good. Because like what I am noticing, like the stuff that's in cabinets is just like stupid prices on things. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like I mean, I went to a Salvos the other day and they had like, so they've got a record section, but you know, it's kind of like anything that's kind of a bit more premium or something is in the cabinet. So like they had like a Spice Girls vinyl record, and so but you couldn't see the price. So I'm like, oh, can I have a look at these? I just want to check them. And like the Spice Girls was like $40. They had the price on the back, and it's like it's selling, like it's not even selling for that much on eBay. And I'm like, what? What are you guys doing? And there was a Gaultier one as well, and it was like the same. And it's just like, guys, what are you doing? Somebody needs to teach you about sold comps on eBay, on the eBay app or something. So yeah,
Yeah, I've given up. I used to try and tell some of the staff that worked there, I was like, hey, this you can get this cheap on eBay. You guys are kidding
yeah,
yourselves if you
yeah,
think you're going to get it.
right, yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like since, you know, all of the COVID stuff as well, I feel like since coming back, like they all closed and then they've all come back, and I feel like the prices have kind of increased across the board, and you know, especially at like some of the local ones that I go to. It's just like, I don't know, they've had time to like go through eBay, but they're not
think about it.
necessarily checking the eBay comps, like what's sold, but they're just looking at eBay and going, oh yeah, that's on there for this much, so we'll just put that price on it. And it's like, okay,
Uh, yeah, I've kind of been thinking the same thing, like, and that's why I'm heading towards using Facebook Marketplace a lot more as far as sourcing goes, just to bypass that, because it's
well,
getting rare where I'm going out and spending like 150 or more in an OpShop,
yeah,
just because there's not enough stuff in there that's
yeah.
of decent value.
Well, I'm definitely a lot more selective, I guess, with things. You know, when I'm going out to op shops and stuff now, it's just kind of like, you know, like I'm not going to pick a game up if I'm not making like a minimum, say, $20 on it or something. That's kind of not worth it for me, you know. So yeah, but and then through COVID, man, I was doing so much sourcing from Facebook Marketplace, man. I was just picking up so many deals, like, you know, bulk lots of games that people are selling off. You know, it's like, you know, it's like a girlfriend who's got all her ex-boyfriend's video games and she just wants to get rid of them, and you know, and it's like, so she's willing to just, you know, doesn't really know the value of them or anything, and it's like, I'll take those.
I think that's it. I actually picked up a big Warhammer lot a week and a bit ago, and it's probably the most I've spent
Yeah,
in one go, just over $300.
yeah,
And literally 10 minutes ago, I just sold the first item out of that for $60, leaving
awesome.
me,
So is that the books, or what is it?
yeah,
Like,
books,
yeah,
books.
yeah, because they go for a lot, don't they?
Some of them
Okay,
do, some of them don't. I think it
yeah.
sort of depends on
So is it the
rarity and
manuals? So they're manuals, like manual?
codexes, manuals. I've got some old White Dwarf magazines and
Oh
journals
yeah,
and stuff as well.
I've got tons of those White Dwarf magazines. Like
Yeah.
somebody, yeah, it was on Facebook Marketplace. They were just giving them away. So I've got like the whole set of them, like, and I got them for nothing. So
Same thing though. Like I like those sort of things because one listing, multi quantity or
yeah,
multi selection,
yeah,
and then you're done.
yeah.
That's it.
Well, that's one thing I actually like about games, about listing games, is it's like, in general, it's super easy to list. You know, it's like front, back,
Yeah.
inside, top of the disc, maybe. Like if it's an expensive game, then you want to show the bottom of the disc as well, or I do. Because like I try to list everything as like new, generally.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's super simple. And then, yeah, I mean, even like the cartridge games or everything, it's like I try and show so you can kind of clean the inside of the cartridge so you can see the inside of the cart. People can kind of see what they're getting. And yeah, so
I think that helps cut down returns a lot as well.
yeah. Yeah.
I always take, well, most of the time I'll take photos of the actual disc surface itself.
Yeah. Yeah. And but it can be kind of hard as well because it's like it's still hard for them to get a sense of what the disc actually does look like because it's like, it could still have scratches on and everything, but it's kind of like just the angle that you've photographed it at. It does look like there's scratches sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've already done over an hour.
Yeah.
That's gone super quick. Where can people find you, Gary? And have you got any plans for YouTube or anything coming up?
Yeah, I've set up a YouTube channel, but it's kind of just getting, I don't know, just putting the time in to do some videos. I'm actually keen to do some videos, and I've got a few ideas for videos. And look, Mum, Drew, I've got an idea for a challenge video. So I don't know, maybe we need to have a chat about that, which could be kind of cool. But yeah, we'll see. It's just kind of like making the time or finding the time to edit the videos is like a big thing for me. So it's like that on top of like just having tons to list and everything as well. It's like, I don't know, just the focus for me is on the business, on that, and what's actually gonna bring money in. And then like YouTube would just be something that if I have time to do it, it's not the focus at the moment anyway. So that might change down the track. But so
I think that's well said.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm very active using Instagram. So FlipIn Sydney on Instagram. I'm trying to kind of like do a few stories every day and do things of like if I'm out and about, or try and give people different tips on how I pack things when I'm sending things off, or, just try and give people little tips of, when you're listing games, make sure you scan the UPC code on the back of the game and include that in the listing, because like you get priority. The listings that have that code in them actually get priority over, and I see so many like games that are listed that don't have that UPC code. And so I would say definitely put that code in, just scan it or type it in, and make sure that.
Do you have two postage options specified? Express?
Well, for the games, I don't offer free shipping on any games really. Like I've probably got maybe a couple, but in general, everything is tracked. So yeah, so I charge for tracking and I send everything, and it doesn't matter the cost of the game. I just have it with tracking, and I prefer to do it that way. And I haven't had any like issues. I don't feel like my sales are suffering because I'm charging for tracking. But it's just kind of for my peace of mind. But I want people to get the item, but I want it to be tracked so that they actually, there's no issue with, I didn't get it. There's none of that. There's no room for that, because it's like, well, it's tracked. So you can't, you've cut that. That's not even going to be an issue. So, yeah.
No, the only reason I ask is I offer on just about every listing now an express option, and I think it gives you a bump and search as well. So UPC plus express option, right to the top.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And that's something that it's pretty easy to do, bulk listing.
Yeah.
As well. Edit bulk listing.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that's something to think about. So, but I don't know. Yeah. But how would that work? Because I mean, for the games, I mean, I'm just talking about like in general, most of the games, it's like I'm using a C5, which is one of those. That's what I'm sending the game in. And so like I have a poly or like I put the game in something first, and then So I put it in that first, and then I put it in that. So actually you have to cut the top off, which is a bit annoying, but and then it goes in there, and that's what I send. So that's a tracked. When I send a game, it's tracked. So I don't know how an express would work for that, because it's like it's a tracked letter basically.
Yeah, not sure for the letters. So
Yeah.
I don't send many express letters.
Because that's the majority of the games that I send. That's how I'm sending the games. So yeah, if it's a thicker game, like the real thick ones, then obviously that's going as a parcel in like a satchel or something. So yeah.
So yeah, I usually send them by UMAT as well, but it depends on the value of the game. Anything over $25, I'll make sure it's tracked for sure.
Yeah.
And I actually had a case last week where someone said they didn't receive something that I'd sent.
Yeah.
So yeah, instant refund. There's nothing I can do because there's no tracking.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was the reason for me. Just everything's tracked. And it's like, I've had that happen maybe once or something where they just said, I didn't get it, but so everything's tracked now. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll leave it there. Thank you very much again for coming on. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me. It's good to kind of talk in person. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Thanks everyone. And any questions, you can still chuck them in the chat after this once it finishes uploading.
I mean, if anyone had a question for me, they can just hit me up on Instagram or whatever. So I'm pretty active on Instagram. So
yeah. No, I think I saw a question way back up about the $5 challenge as well. Something about the total. Just flick me a message on Instagram and I'll be happy to answer that. No worries. Cool.
All
right. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers.